I want to help you, the woman said. She was sincere. The frankness of her confession, unclouded by any trace of impure emotion, brought tears pouring from her eyes as she spoke the words. I wish to free you from your suffering. Which made me feel nothing but pessimism. I felt neither joy nor gratitude that she had come to save me. That kindness of hers was misdirected and nothing but an annoyance to me. It wasn't enough to make me despise her, but honestly I wanted her to run along home to her own world instead. This isn't to say that I hated the woman, but the very principles that guided her actions were wrong. She should have known as well as I did that she wasn't going to save anyone. She should have known from the start that it was impossible for her to save me. I responded in a voice you couldn't exactly call a voice. With your throat crushed, it's impossible to make a sound, so I tried shaking my head until I remembered that I couldn't do that either. Eventually, she gave up and went back above ground. She kept up that contest of endurance for days, until gradually she came to realize she was talking to herself. The one her words were addressed to was just a corpse. That's something that happened, apparently. These events I hadn't committed to memory in the first place are now surfacing in my mind because of the similar emotions now being directed towards me. Doubt and mercy. That woman who tries to be so fastidious that's holding some sort of ridiculous feeling of obligation towards me, even though she doesn't have a shred of proof as to why she should. Bazit Fraga McRemits. That woman who has become Avenger's master now harbors the same misdirected emotions for me as the woman from back then. My heart thundering at a speed of 500% over its usual rate, I barely propel my exhausted body towards the ruins. My throat is burning. The way my right leg's aching after I push it to the limits of my endurance and beyond, it comes as no surprise here that I'd busted it. Having used up all but the dregs of the magical energy I received from Bazit, my own reserves of strength are starting to come up dry too. Basically, you could say I'm giving up. I can't move another step, and I'm tempted to just quit now. Consequences be damned.
What on earth are you doing? Get in here now, Avenger!
Bazit, who reached the ruins one step ahead of me, comes back outside and shouts at me. Grasping for purchase with both hands, I fling myself into the building with all the dignity of a fleeing puppy. The door slams closed behind me. Of course, some little door isn't worth a fart as far as defense goes, considering the monster that's after us. Having that barrier at least gives us the illusion of security, though. I can hear a roar. That must be the big fucker we've got on our tail, destroying everything in his path as he pursues us through the forest. Running away to a ruin like this won't save us. Once he catches up, he'll crush the whole place to powder and both of us along with it. That thing is like a fierce gale. No matter what kind of weapon one is armed with, it's plain to see that no human would cross swords with that and live. In a clearing in the forest, we ran into that monster. No, it'd be better to say that it was waiting there for us. Though set there like a monolith carved out of stone, the second we set foot into its territory, it let out that roar as it came after us. The battle was over in 1 second. I never had any great desire to pick a fight with that thing in the first place, but after the first shot, even Bazit realized that we couldn't fight it, let alone win. Bazit's not one to back down from a fight, but after even Fragarok failed to score a kill, she wisely and graciously gave the order to retreat. Still, you gotta hand it to her. To be able to fight even for a few seconds facing the source of that hellish roar took some serious guts. She recovered in no time and fired off Fragrok while that huge monster's war cry still had me nearly pissing myself. The noble phantasm it has seems to be the type that's always on, because Fragrok activated right away. Her aim was true, and her shot struck right in its heart, bringing that fat ass down once and for all. Or at least that's what should have happened. Instead, it completely revived 10 seconds later and kept charging straight for us. Back from the brink of death in perfect health. In other words, a body that knows no death. That's the big fucker's noble phantasm. After she wasted her frag rack on it, Bazzett's whole body went rigid. And with her frozen there as that monstrous thing came bearing down on her, I personally think it was awfully nice of me to give her a little push out of harm's way via a flying kick to the side. The pain. It felt like he barely grazed me, but that was enough to send me flying, too. The big guy's sights are now set on me, standing right in its path, and I look up to see an axe the size of a Grecian pillar raised over my head. To even think about eating a hit from that would be crazy, and my chances of slipping by unharmed were stupendously low. So then, when things were at their darkest, just as I was thinking that, this must be what they call instant death. Who should come to my rescue but the very same Bassett I just kicked away from that huge thing. She leveled her second frag rack at its face and fired, striking it right between the eyes.
Now's our chance. Come on, we're making a run for it.
Seems like she fired her second frag rack not to kill, but to try and blind it. But even a huge hole in its face didn't stop that monster, or the axe it held, so that's when Bassett grabbed me by the hand and made a break for the forest. Throwing off the gloves that Fragrack had burned as she ran, Bassett laid a rune into both legs to let her run faster. Me, being the compulsive thief and hoarder that I am, I pick up her trash.
This isn't the time to dawdle. Now's our chance to put some distance between us and him, so run!
And seizing me by the scruff of my neck, Bassett took off running. Seeing as how she's in top physical shape to start with, the blessing of the runes on top of that allowed her to leave that huge monster behind before you could blink. But even that only gave us a few seconds head start. Before its eyes even finished healing, it was hot on our trail, as surely as though it were tracking us by scent. And that's how we wound up in here, more or less. Which, being stuck in here, means we can expect our new friend to catch up in a couple minutes or so and kill us both. I warned you already this would be dangerous and we better forget about it. Then again, the whole reason we're in this mess is because you won't listen to a damn thing I say. Got anything to say to that, Master?
I acknowledge that I may have underestimated this enemy. It's true that I never accounted for the existence of a servant like that.
Baz's response sounds a little weak, maybe like she's regretting it. Compared to her near total silence from the time we entered the forest till now, though, this is a veritable world of difference. That's good. Makes it easier on me, too, but first things first. Nope, that thing ain't no servant. It's a monster that inhabits this forest, a vengeful spirit of some that tried to become a servant and failed.
What on earth are you talking about? It was clearly a servant. It's no spirit from a past era or anything of the sort. It had a noble phantasm. That was the Einsburn servant, without a doubt.
Well, going by where we came across him, probably so. Right, that's right. Regardless of whether or not it's an enemy, a servant's a servant after all. By all rights, trying to figure out what class servant that monster is would be a waste of time. What we need to focus on right now, rather than trying to figure out what the hell that thing is to figure out what the hell we should do about it. Ain't a thing we can do about that big fucker. So for now, let's figure out what we're going to do with ourselves. So what's the plan, Master? Do we wait here like good little boys and girls until it kills us and start over? Or are we going to find its master?
We'll find its master, naturally. I didn't feel any master's presence near the servant, so I believe whoever it is must be holed up in the Einsburn castle.
I agree as far as the must be holed up in the castle part, but to get there in the first place, we gotta do something about that big fucker, you know? So what's the plan? Do we run or do we fight it?
Avenger, speaking plainly, it pains me to turn my back to an enemy. Face them once battle is joined and crush them with all my power. That is my way.
Don't I know it? How could I not after all the time we've been together? You just managed to scrape by, dragging me along with you no matter how I may protest, and jumping right into losing battles without so much as breaking a sweat.
That was only because I had misjudged your ability as one which creates a loop. If only you were a more normal servant, I'd have no need to press you so hard.
I wonder about that. So is that what we're gonna do this time around too? At any rate, we'll never make it to the castle unless we do something about that Hulkin bastard first.
No, even I'm not that reckless. In all my battles up to this point, I was able to prevail because a chance for my victory existed. But here, that chance is non-existent. We are an extremely poor match for this opponent.
I let out a whistle. Wee-oo. Just as bad as it said, we're a real bad match against that ginormous thing.
I forgot you can't whistle.
My noble phantasm's just no good against it. Up against him, I couldn't survive so much as a single blow. The first strike would be fatal, so if one hit equals death, I can't turn the curse back on him.
Wee woo.
On the other hand, we could have Bazit counterattack with Frag Rock, but she can only use it 3 times. It's crystal clear now the monster's noble phantasm allows it to rise from the dead. We don't know yet how many times it's good for, but it likely outnumbers the uses of Frag Rock we got. Which means fighting it out of the question, leaving us with...
Escaping as it pursues us and heading for the castle, I suppose. Our chances of success with that aren't much better, but at least they won't be 0.
She's right about that much. But there's still something pretty big that Bazit's overlooking. That monster ain't something you can just ignore. To make it to the castle, we gotta take care of our new buddy somehow. This is it then. I'll stay here and draw that big bastard's fire while you make for the castle. Okay, our chances should be about 50-50 with that. As long as you make sure your pretty little feet don't stray off the path, you should be able to get to that castle no problem. The Ainsburn's castle is about 15 kilometers northwest of here. You got any more of those handy rune carving talents? I'll bet you do, and if so, there's no problem. I know I earn at best about a 10th of my keep, but you alone should be able to do 10 times that.
Avenger, I shall never order you to do such a thing. I shall head to the castle together with you.
Don't be stupid. That'd be way harder on me. To be honest, I can't keep up with you. I barely even made it here. If you run at the same pace as me, I'll catch us for sure.
Your weakness is but one of spirit. Rouse yourself and put some backbone into it. You should be able to run if you only put your mind to it. You're always so quick to give up.
Ugh. She really hit me where it hurts.
Just believe in yourself.
Quite a gutsy lady. Well, you know, I suppose I might be able to do something if I really put my mind to it. But it's a plain fact I can't keep up with you at your usual speed.
Good grief. In that case, never mind the discussion of battle strategy. Should worst come to worst, shift yourself into spirit form and stay beside me.
Well, ain't that a clear-headed opinion? Doing that won't do a thing to help either one of us, though. So how are we going to get out of this one? Any other time, we'd both just go about playing the part that works best for us. Simple as that. The reason we can't do that now is because a certain someone over here is misunderstanding things in the most boring-ass way possible. Sheesh, this ain't like you, Master. What good it'd do for me to change into spirit form just to save my own hide? You know that if you die, that means curtains for the both of us, right? Right, so then the only thing that makes sense is to leave me behind in here. Me being a slow runner and a burden overall, while General Bazit leads the one-woman charge and completes her mission to infiltrate the castle.
Pardon me, but I don't recall ever referring to you as a burden.
No, it's me saying it, because any way you slice it, I can't do a thing on my own, see? I stick out my left leg to make my point. It was reduced to kibbles and bits by that giant ape when he charged us. That a 4th-rate heroic spirit like me managed to make it all the way here in my own power after that's pretty damn impressive if I do say so myself. Was he hopping on one leg?
Yeah,
like
I love
at speed.
I love that we've just casually not addressed the fact that his leg's been obliterated this entire conversation. Like he had to point it out to her, and his kibbles and bits.
Yep.
He's just got some he's got some really baggy pants on, so you can't tell.
Oh yeah, I guess we haven't like seen him yet, right? You've seen him because you have him in FGO. But,
I
like,
do.
The audience hasn't actually.
The audience hasn't seen him.
Yep, the gutsy way ain't nothing to sneeze at.
No, if you will remain here, then so will I. We shall construct a plan to defeat that servant here. I will not continue on by myself. I cannot simply leave you here.
Herman, but still doubtful. It's definitely not because of any deep feeling of affection. It was that same hand that once reached out to me in a gesture so severely mistaken. Out of pity, huh?
No, I feel no pity for you. I only feel that I should take responsibility for the wound you have sustained. Thus, I choose to show it through refusing to leave you behind.
That's all wrong. Listen up, Master. You're saying you want to stay in here, not to achieve your goal, but to help me. Which is, well, not what I'd call a bad thing, strictly from my own perspective. If you want to help me, I'd just as soon let you. But as long as it's grounded in feelings of indebtedness like that, it's really quite a wicked thing to do. Worse than leaving me behind, in fact.
Indebtedness, you say?
Yeah, that kind of pity or compassion or whatever you want to call it. You still listening, my little human miss? If you're planning on rescuing someone from despair, allowing negative emotions to motivate that is a no-go. Without a way to turn all those minuses into a plus, negating a despair that deep is hopeless. Even if you dig deep into the pits of sorrow and bring the sorrowful up into the light, there are those in this world who just can't be healed. I guess it's like this. It's one thing if you're willing to play daycare teacher 24/7 for the one you saved until the day they're rehabilitated back into society. But humans with that kind of time on their hands are thin on the ground. If you still just have to save a guy like that, even then, without a reason for doing so, which will benefit at least one of you, the whole thing's just lose-lose. Wicked laughter. In the distance, I hear the monsters howl. Bazet stares fixedly at me, her face blank. Was I not clear? Then let me give you an example. Say that somewhere there's this guy who's suffering the absolute worst fate in the world you could possibly think of. You get wind of this guy in the news, and hearing what he's going through really upsets you. That'd be the meaningless sentimentality I'm talking about. This is a far-off, distant world we're talking about, one you couldn't do anything about even if you wanted to. So no matter what kind of tragedy goes on beyond your reach, just keep a smile on your face. That's right. To try to save someone who doesn't exist in your own world would mean to deny that world of yours. That's the logic this world operates on, something that doesn't even bear mentioning. Unrelated humans, unobjecting humans, affirm every misfortune and sorrow by that alone. That inequality cannot be overthrown, so why not just accept the happiness that's built on someone else's sacrifice? Even if it's a truly ugly and wretched life, if you're among the blessed, all you can do is smile and accept that's just how it is. Otherwise, it's all for nothing. Live out your whole life opposite that contradiction and that ugliness. That's what a proper human should do. A human can't save anyone except himself. Saving another person solely for that other person's sake is no better than an excuse worthy of death. Such lip service can't save anyone. But if even then you still believe you can save another, if you're still chirping stuff like, I want to save another. Yeah, if even then you feel like you gotta do something, at least go to save them with a smile on your face. Thinking stuff like, I can't abandon him, so I'll stay here. I feel sorry for him, so I'll go back. None of that's really any of your business. Don't cling to some stupid idea about wanting to share all the joy and sorrow that comes your way. Not even for a moment. That's what I'm saying. All she needs to share with me is the joy. Coming to save me by bringing me sorrow would be nothing but a pain in my ass. What I want is a no-questions-asked fairy tale ending. Peace and love to exceed even the days of nothing but loss. That's right. For example, like dark and sunken eyes. Seeing a bright and shining future in an outstretched hand.
Avenger, you.
Whoops, I really went off topic there for a second. If you'll forgive me being blunt, I'm telling you to get out of here. Even if we die, it's not like we won't see each other again soon. It'd be pretty awkward if the thing that kills us is that compassion of yours. Look, you need to have a chat with that Einsburn master, don't you? So get out there and go get it over with. I'll go on back ahead of you. The storm's coming closer. We'd better end our little chat post-haste before he shows up. What? Something on your mind?
No, that will be all. Then please, I will rely on you to contain the enemy for me, Avenger.
Gotcha. Okay then, give me a second to psych myself up and I'll go out and give him a nice warm welcome while you sneak out the back. Waving my hand to Bazet, I venture outside. Once she's made up her mind about something, she won't waste a moment's effort on anything unnecessary. She's already forgotten all about me and is running at full throttle straight to the castle by now. The Einsburn servant will be here any minute. I pull Bazzett's glove that I picked up off the ground onto my right hand. It's pretty much useless as a glove after Fragrock reduced it to cinders, but what the hell? It might at least make for a good luck charm. Now then, guess this time I'll be cut clean in two. Shit, this is why I told her I didn't want to come out here. The weakest under attack by the strongest, this is. There are way too many matchups like this in this Holy Grail war thing, god damn it.
In the end, I left him behind. I allowed him to remain there, in a place where he was certain to be killed, and raced into the forest alone. I feel no debt towards him. As he said, this was the natural choice. A familiar should be played like a pawn, sacrificed to protect his king. Using one servant as a shield to prolong your own life is a matter of course. If I'm going to feel indebted to him, it should only be if I fail to reach the castle. Should I fail to live up to the chance of victory he has given me through his servant's devotion, then, and only then. I've already grown accustomed to this, and I do understand. Furthermore, even if Avenger were to die, he'll return to life again. Even if he's killed out here, he'll be returned to the first night again. Nothing to lose, and nothing to regret. Just as before, I, as a magus of the Association, shall conduct myself in a manner befitting my reputation as a first-rate agent. And yet I feel more pain than usual. These feelings of sentimentality, which I felt once before, now seem to grate against my heart as I grit my teeth in discomfort. In irritation towards both him and myself, I find myself indiscriminately destroying everything in my path. The darkness of the night, the multitude of trees, and even the castle now visible beyond the forest. It feels like I'd tried to shoot them down if I relaxed my grasp of myself, even for a moment. However, it's not those voiceless objects that I want to destroy the most, but... Yes, now I, too, have left him behind. All of a sudden, I find myself wanting to apologize to all those unknown things. Even if it was the natural choice. Even if he told me to do so himself. The way I treated him was worse than any hatred or betrayal. The castle gates stand wide open. Without a moment's pause, I hurry inside. I may have left that monster far behind me, but in all likelihood, I still have no more than 5 minutes to spare. I must locate the Einsburn Master and force their surrender right away. Which is why I need to calm down and gather my wits. Ugh. My goal isn't to do away with the Master, but to have a few uncertain points clarified. I must ask the Master of Einsburns, the family acting as a cornerstone of the Holy Grail War, and said to know more about the heroic spirits than any other, about the mystery of these 4 days. I stormed the entrance to the castle foyer. They should have known we were here the moment we engaged that monster in combat. No need for stealth now. Close now. 2nd floor! There! As I run towards the staircase, I put on a spare pair of leather gloves. I'm in the thick of enemy territory now. It wouldn't be strange to find a blade at my neck at any moment, and... a strike could come from any direction. An anachronistic, long-handled weapon comes swinging down towards me. A halberd. Dodging that deadly ancient weapon, the style of which was beginning to fall out of favor even among the knights of the Holy Church, I jumped back out of the way. Am I going to be fighting the maids? Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm the one with the little hair tassels, right?
Yeah.
Intruder. If came to bully Ilya, leave. A voice free of emotion, wielding a weapon that must weigh in excess of 40 kilos as though it were lighter than a feather. No, the awkwardness in her moves is as if she doesn't feel the weight at all. There's no room for doubt. This must be one of the finely honed battle usage synthetic humans of the Einsburns. A homunculus. Won't go? Then, no choice. Perhaps picking up on my own readiness for battle, the homunculus raises her halberd into the air. There's no time to try and gauge her ability. I have to take her down with my first strike. This is the 2nd time I faced off against an Einsburn-made homunculus, and in a formidable opponent though she may be, I also know her limits. A flurry of attacks and defensive counters leave us still facing off one another. Her strikes with the halberd are like those of a child in a play sword fight. She has nothing to depend on but brute strength. But in addition to that, her raw power is so otherworldly as to be superhuman, transforming her into a force of nature in battle. Though not on the level of the monster out there, one blow from this homunculus would be more than enough to fatally wound me. A direct hit would likely shatter every bone in my body. Even while parrying the gale-level force of her attacks, I managed to land 7 or so punches on her. And though each one contained enough power to have blown her internal organs out through her back, not so much as a flicker of pain shows on the face of the homunculus. Jesus. I don't know whether that maid uniform of hers is some kind of superb mystic code, or whether she simply doesn't feel pain at all. At any rate, I'll have to break this homunculus's bones to bring her to a standstill. The fire of battle in the homunculus dies down. Her face, as expressionless as it was filled with a strong dive, suddenly drains of its former tension as...
That's enough, Liz. Didn't I tell you to give a proper welcome to my guest?
A young girl appears on top of the staircase. Her hair is white as snow.
Good evening, dear guest. I believe we have not yet been introduced. I am the mistress of this castle, Iliasville von Einsburn. Pray tell what brings you to our humble abode so late in the evening.
The girl ushers me inside with a polite grace that perfectly complements her loveliness. This girl is the Einsburn master? There's definitely a strong magical aura surrounding her. The amount of magical energy her body holds is simply phenomenal. A being beyond human, a natural-born magic circuit. There's no mistake. This girl, too, is a homunculus, crafted by the hands of the Einsburns.
Oh my, no return greeting even though I came out to receive you in person? So these are the manners of a magus of the association? If you're unwilling to engage in proper conversation, then please feel free to depart our castle at once.
She giggles. Even though she knows that I'm a master, there's not a trace of caution in her. It's almost as if she never saw me as a worthy opponent from the start. Please forgive my earlier rudeness. My name is Bazet. I'm a master dispatched by the Mages Association, and it is in that capacity that I came here tonight.
I know that quite well. I believe you ran afoul of a servant in the forest, did you not? I thought that our visitor might be you. No other master would dare set foot in this place, not even by mistake. I was delighted to finally have you as our guest.
Huh? Her smile is so carefree. My first impression of her could have been off the mark. There's no condensation. Condensation? Condescension? Why did that word look so weird?
She's so dry.
There's no condescension in the girl's manner. She simply doesn't view me as her enemy.
Haha, that's right. I do not wish to fight you. Or rather, I have no wish to fight any master. I am no longer a master myself, you see. All the other masters, yourself excepted, already know this, and so none make the journey to this forest.
What? She's not a master? What does this mean?
Stand down, Liz. It seems Bazet wishes to speak with me. Go and close the gate so that the monster from the forest cannot find its way in.
Okay, but... Oh, fucking maid. Okay, but this really alright, Ilya?
It's fine. I wish to speak to Bazet in private. You've gotten awfully cheeky of late, Liz. Take care not to defy me like this again.
Yeah, Liz will do what Ilya says. The homunculus called Liz exits past me without so much as a watchful glance in my direction, as though our fierce battle a moment ago never took place.
Now come this way, Bazet. You came here to talk to me, didn't you? I'd be glad to tell you anything I know.
The girl descends the stairs and disappears into the far end of the lobby. Still reeling slightly from the completely unexpected turn of events, I take her up on the invitation.
I know all the details of your circumstances. You entered my forest, got attacked by a monster, used your own servant as a decoy, and made it all the way here. Your purpose was twofold, to defeat the Einstein Master and to have certain questions answered. Am I mistaken? Otherwise, I don't believe you'd come all the way to this forgotten castle for the sole purpose of challenging me.
The girl calmly lowers herself onto a chair, though I declined when offered a seat of my own. Even if she proclaims disinterest in fighting me, this place is still enemy territory. I can't know for certain that she won't make this whole room disappear with a snap of her fingers.
You're quite wary, aren't you, Bazet? Is this the result of the teachings of the association, or simply your character? Could it be that you're the type who won't so much as drink a cup of tea offered in the enemy camp?
That depends on the situation, but I won't be having any tea here. Just as you said, I came here with questions that I want answered. I didn't come to engage in idle conversation.
Really? How disappointing. I thought I'd better call off the preparations for tea then. I see you'd rather get your business over with quickly.
Is this girl really the Einsburn master? I'm beginning to doubt her anew. No, if what she said about no longer being a master is true, then she's really not a master at all. Eliasville, you say that you are not a master, but isn't the giant in the forest your servant?
That monster is my servant, but he's not the servant of the Einsburns. A bit of a mistake was made, and he was driven mad. He's now merely a monster who protects me, unconnected to the Holy Grail War. The monsters appearing in the city, they're not quite the same, but you may think of them as being similar. He has no connection to the Holy Grail War, but is simply a monster who kills any master that enters the forest. He was a servant, but was beaten out for the position, is now but a formless ghost.
What? Beaten out for the position?
Yes, there was no part available for him to play, and so I couldn't give him a decent role. This would not have happened were he the servant of the Einsburns.
So you are saying that monster is not the Einsburn servant? Then where is the servant who is?
Gone, for my servant was taken away from me by another master. That is why I'm saying that I am no longer a master. On the 4th night after this Holy Grail War began, the servant was killed and the Einsburn master defeated. And the first to know that the Einsburns had been eliminated from the race should have been your servant.
My mind freezes. Avenger knew that the Einsburn master had been defeated. Not that it comes as a surprise. The number of things he's keeping secret from me could fill volumes. I don't trust that suspicious guy at all, so this news is hardly enough to shock me. What I find more strange is...
What's wrong? Is there something else troubling you?
She giggles. This girl, she knows everything. Eliasville, this servant of yours who was taken by another master, was that...
Oh, don't you know? His name is Avenger, the one called Angerminu, oldest of the world's evils.
With a grating sound, my consciousness distorts. My fist unconsciously closes around the earring in my pocket. After laboring to calm my sudden ragged breathing, I say, "That's quite strange. First, I'd never heard of an Avenger class before. Second, a heroic spirit such as Angerminu shouldn't exist in the first place." I finally put into words the question that haunted me ever since this all began.
But of course, the one called Angerminu does not exist. The one who answered the summons as Avenger is but a fraud bearing the Angerminu name, a mere human, an ordinary person with no relation to the great evil of the old legends, knowing neither magic nor mystery. He was the one selected at random to become an effigy and treated as a demon for the rest of his life. Nothing more than a scapegoat.
A fairy tale from a far-off, distant world. Once there existed a people who, distraught by all the strife that had come into the world, all the strife that had come to be in the world, created for themselves a new world, isolated deep in the mountains. But though they had gathered together in the hopes of living as an embodiment of man's innate goodness, they were unable to divorce themselves from the evil nature also inherent in man. Doubt and deception, hatred and resentment, no matter how gloriously they sang the praises of human good, evil was still born among them. So they decided that someone had to shoulder the blame for the ugliness of the world. This evil was not something that could have been born from within any of them. That they themselves had this evil in their nature couldn't be true. The evil of mankind stems from the venom of something demonic which comes to infect us. We must all lead lives of purity and righteousness. Therefore, they required a root of all evil. They required an effigy to bear the weight of all sin. Someone of whom it could be said, "It is only you who is evil." And so a scapegoat was created to become all the evil in the world. A lone sacrifice.
Every so often people like that get mixed in among the heroic spirits. Though he himself only meant to lead an ordinary life, in death he is defied by those around him and revered as a hero. Dead men tell no tales, so even if you force them into a role that's convenient for you like that, you'll never hear them complain. For those virtuous ones who know no doubt, they certainly make a suitable target for worship. But his case was beyond the pale. Perhaps it was because of what the people were worshipping in him, anger and hatred. He was treated as a real, genuine demon, and onto him they pressed all of their condemnation and blame. Poverty, sickness, disaster, and finally, the fear that they all would die one day. They made him an outlet for their emotions, pelting him with accusations that all of these things existed only as a fault of his presence. But through this, the people were saved. Since a demon like that exists in this world, there's nothing we can do about it, they said. Every bad thing that exists is his fault, not ours, they said. and thus in death he became to be viewed as a heroic spirit. Not a single great deed did those hands commit, nor did any man venerate him, but he saved a great many people even so.
While he still lived, he became a god. While he still lived, he had his human nature taken away. The name he was given at birth was stripped from him, and he was spoken of as a great evil.
Get this. My name is gone.
He spoke of it as though it was a trifling matter.
Even if you order me to remember, that record just doesn't exist.
Anywhere in this world anymore. He declared without a trace of a resentment, and in response, your next name was one that you were fondly called as a hero. And even if it is a title, it is a name that gained acclaim from people. Of course you would like it. How could I have ever said such a thing? So that is Avenger, a human chosen as Angerminu, the evil nature of the world. Is that what you're saying?
That is correct. However, when it comes to ability, he's utterly useless. Though he was called Angerminu, that kind of religious faith being placed in him doesn't guarantee the manifestation of any special powers. While he lived after his death when he was seen as a heroic spirit, he was a mere human. Well, the exclusion of his name from Avesta means that he is free from the laws of order as well. Nevertheless, it is far from earning a heroic spirit label. As a servant, he was garbage, good for absolutely nothing.
Garbage?
Well, it seems that something has upset you all of a sudden. You should know that there's nothing to be gained by killing me. Could it be that you're more dangerous than you look?
Now that she says that, I realize that I'm seething with anger. What that girl said wasn't that far off the mark. It's true that, as a heroic spirit, he's incredibly weak, and at first I did think he was useless. But that was only due to my lack of understanding at the time, added to the fact that it's hard to grasp his good points. No, he really was useless back when he was my servant. Wait. Ilya?
Yeah?
Yeah?
I think so.
No, he really was useless back when he was my servant, Bazit. He did not become the heroic spirit that people wished for until much later on. Until the wish he was saddled with was fulfilled, he remained powerless. Neither did he have a single noble phantasm at his disposal.
No noble phantasm? No, does she mean that he couldn't use his noble phantasm while he was the Einsburn servant? This doesn't add up. The Einsburn girl whose servant was taken away. If he was taken, that would make me the one who took him. About this, there can be no mistake. I don't have the first idea how I was able to usurp the contract from her, but it seems that this girl's contract with Avenger was switched with mine. So then what does the death on the fourth day signify? Being taken away is not the same as dying. This girl is talking about multiple conclusions at once.
But that's enough talk about my now departed servant for now, isn't it? I want to hear about your servant, Bazit. You are a magus of the association after all, so am I wrong in thinking that you were able to summon a heroic spirit of great renown?
No. My servant is... Avenger, I was going to say, but hesitated before my mouth could shape the words. It's partly because I'm the one that she said took him from her, but on top of that, I can't shake the feeling that she's lying to me about something.
Your servant is...
I don't really have much reason to tell you, now that you are no longer a master, and besides... He's already long dead. Right when I arrived at the castle, all responses from Avenger ceased. He's already returned to the first night, and there he awaits for me to awaken, just like always. Yes, for that is his ability. To be reborn even from death. No, to start over from the first day, when we were still alive. Which means that the girl before my eyes must already know all about his ability to rewind. Eliasville, you said that Avenger could not use a noble phantasm, did you not? To what were you referring? Avesta or...
I don't quite know what you're talking about, but he couldn't use any at all, neither one nor the other. I've already said so, haven't I? As a tool, Avenger was completely useless.
So this must mean that the Einsburn Master knows nothing at all about Avenger's noble phantasm. Never mind Avesta, his ability to resurrect from the dead far surpasses even other noble phantasms. There's just no way anyone who's experienced that power firsthand could so summarily dismiss him as useless. Come to think of it, there's no real use talking about Avenger like this. Let us get to the heart of the matter. Eliasville, what are your impressions of this Holy Grail War?
Digiman, thanks for the sub! Who knows? I was removed from the running quite a while ago. I have no further interest in this Holy Grail War. It's already over for me, so I'm simply watching from here until the whole thing is finished.
So I take it you know nothing of the familiars appearing in town either?
Did she mention them earlier?
She did. I thought she did. She said, because she said Avenger was different.
She doesn't know, like, where they came from, I guess is what she's saying.
Yeah.
Not a thing, didn't I just say so? I'm out of the running. But then again, yes, this is the last night that those monsters will overrun the town. They could only exist from the start until today, the evening of the 4th day.
Came up again, another link to the period of 4 days. My search for clues relating to that was what originally brought me here tonight. Heliosfield, about the abilities of my servant. I tell her with a certain conviction of all of that has happened so far. Rebirth from death, the endless restarting Holy Grail War. No, that's not it. About my servant and I, who, no matter how many times we repeat them, cannot move beyond these 4 days.
Repeating the Holy Grail War. I see. So that is how it seems to you. Now, both of you are the only ones who are confined.
We are the only ones who are confined? She's right in saying that. Viewed from the perspective of the girl who cannot rewind, the 4th day will be followed by a 5th. But the 2 of us must return to the 1st day. We're standing in the middle of the vast river called time, never moving downstream from where we stand, and going back upstream again and again.
You came here to find a solution, I see. You wish to stop the Holy Grail War and pass beyond the 4th day.
No, I haven't the slightest desire to stop the Holy Grail War. I only want to know for certain why this boundary of 4 repeating days confines us as it does.
Oh, no? Then just what is it that you want? If things continue as they are, you will remain in eternal...
No, all I want is to win this abnormal Holy Grail War and fulfill the duty I was sent here for.
I see. Had you wished to sever the contract with your servant, I'd be willing to lend a hand, but a problem of this nature isn't within my jurisdiction. As I told you several times, I'm out of the running. I have no desire to go outside this castle. Why this Holy Grail Wars of yours has become this way is just... Has become this way, the way it has is something like you can investigate, Bazit.
The girl rises from her seat. Iliasviel moves towards the lobby as though she's lost all interest in me.
Good night, Bazit. If what you say is true, then tonight is the night that you return again, right? You're welcome to stay in the castle until that happens. If you go back out into the forest, you're likely to be killed by that monster. The stars are beautiful tonight, now that you're alone. Take this chance to think for a while about what you're trying to accomplish and whether you're sure you want to find out the cause of this sense of unease you're feeling.
I leave the winter castle behind me. I refuse the girl's offer. Even if in the forest I do encounter that monster and my defeat at its hands, I still can't simply stay here passing the time in tranquility all by myself. As she said, the sky is remarkably clear. While gazing up at the countless number of stars overhead, I think of him, the one who doubtlessly replied with something sarcastic like, "How can they be so countless? If you could see him, you could count him too, if he were here." It's not why we reached the end every 4 days that I should be trying to figure out. It's why things got this way in the first place. The rewinding ability isn't Avenger's noble phantasm. I do remember him having said so himself, that this was a special bonus from having made a contract with me. What did he mean by a special bonus? If this isn't a noble phantasm, I asked myself then just what kind of miracle could make this possible. A wish-granting magic vessel.
A wish-granting magic vessel!
I deny the answer that rises to the surface of my mind. I can't trust Avenger. I can only do what I can to the best of my abilities. That's it. Next time I'll go out into the town during the day while he sleeps. Avenger is incapable of action during daylight hours, but I myself have no such restrictions. Although I have avoided going out during the day this far, it's not as though I'm a vampire or anything of that sort.
Audentious, thanks for the sub!
40 months is so long. The Magi of Fuyuki should be Tosaka and Mato, and the one who survived from last time, Emiya Kiritsugu. If I'm going to take action, why not start from there? Keeping it quiet from my servant, I will go out into the town. Once again, I feel an unnecessary pain in my chest. It would have been so much better if I truly couldn't trust him, because I want to believe in him. I'm hiding things from him and seeking out the truth.
That was quite the monologue.
Yeah, I'm really tired now.
Yeah, I heard you start taking breaths halfway through, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
A lot of talking.
It's a lot of talking, and I sat down with like half a cup of water. Like, I was ready to just sit here and listen to Jake talk for like an hour and a half, and that getting wholly thrown in my court, I was like, this is not how I wanted this hour to go. I don't think I can save. Digimats is true OG.
But we can, like,
Yeah.
just go to the first one we find, and then... I wonder if Bazzette's gonna be out in the overworld now, because she's, like, walking around during the day. Who knows?
Wait.
Funny. I guess
Wait,
it's
but it
like
said it was
we have to
new.
We have to get to a certain choice, probably, that makes it new.
Oh, you have already seen this scene. The king's clothes are a swimsuit. Oh, is this where we tell her how cute she is? Or if she's fat?
Oh, surely we didn't tell her a lie. I don't know. At some point we already picked the lie, so
Yeah.
I don't know what we're lying about. Oh, is this like someone came into the room?
I remember
And
we...
we lied about, because this is when we walk in on Saber naked, like changing, right?
Yeah.
And then
'Cause-
someone comes in and they're like, "What were you doing?" But I mean, I don't know.
Honestly, once we actually get into it, I think the context of what
Yeah,